Now, King Charles, Rishi Sunak and Lord Cameron will all be showing their commitment to combating global warming at COP28 this weekend by arriving on individual private jets. The Global Climate Action Summit has already come under plenty of scrutiny, namely for being held in the United Arab Emirates, a country that produces more than 2.9 million barrels of oil per day. Number 10 has defended the flights by insisting that Sunak and Cameron have different travel plans, adding that the Prime Minister's plane will use 30% sustainable aviation fuel. That's the chip fat oil that Sunak was advertising the other day. And as for our climate-conscious king, Charles is delivering a speech at tomorrow's opening ceremony, addressing fellow heads of state and business leaders. Meanwhile, outside the conference, the heat is clearly getting to the gathered protesters who are demanding that world leaders enshrine veganism into law. Not to be outdone, eco-zealots Just Stop Oil have targeted Sunak's London home, beating their pots and pans and calling for the Prime Minister to be charged with genocide. Well, I don't often agree with Just Stop Oil, and I very, very rarely, I never agree with Greta Thunberg, but I think in this case they're right, actually. I think COP is gimmick.
Oh, yeah, okay.
COP is a farce. COP is a jolly. Yep. It's a joke. It's a global joke, I think. Why do we need 28 iterations? Why are we on COP28? Remember all the pledges at COP26 in Glasgow? COP27 in Egypt? My memory fails at that point. I can't remember COP25 or 24. Whatever the claims, emissions are still rising. We're having COP after COP after COP. They're all flying there on their private jets. It's not working.
Why are
we don't have
a
concerted green strategy going forward. We have a Prime Minister who's going back and forth on his net zero plans. He does U-turns when it suits him. Now he's out in Dubai trumpeting this stuff. I'm afraid it's all hot air.
Sunak might be going back on it, but Dubai and the UAE is getting bad press here. They have the largest solar farm in the world. They also are now in the top 10 countries in the world for their renewable energy and the green pledges that they've made. They've pledged $156 billion to green energy and renewable energy. So it's like when you say no point preaching to the choir. If we want to change the world and reduce emissions, you need to be speaking to these
JJ, do you remember the pledges from COP26?
I don't remember the pledges from COP27.
But grandiose stuff that came out of Glasgow.
But things have changed.
Every year we're going to have this summit.
Well, yes, we are going to, because this is how change happens.
Action.
Yes, and we are. And I've just explained to you what Dubai themselves are doing in the desert. The countries are doing things to make a difference.
But the thing is,
the makeup you're wearing, the plastic that's in your hair from the hair gel.
It's not working.
This is from oil.
Emissions are still rising.
Just yesterday we spoke about Branson flying the plane on sustainable. This is what's happening. So now governments are seeing these things because of COP28. Everyone flies on their private jets. The amount of emissions that can be saved from them coming up with these solutions will be
dwarfed.
Yeah, exactly. Compared to.
Well, I agree that the outrage around them flying private jets is stupid. They can't take canoes. They can't walk. I'm sorry. These people have better things to do with their time. They must take private jets. So I completely get that. I wouldn't sit in the plane with chip fat oil, but that's because I don't want to pollute the air with some sort of bacon-smelling fuel.
Not sure.
But I do think Emma's right in the sense that it is basically pointless, because the actual right action that you need, or the kind of support that you need to galvanize from the countries that are doing most of the pollution, is not going to happen. This is the point. And I think the reason why it's not going to happen is because most of these Western leaders that are talking to these countries, rather condescendingly, don't understand them. They don't understand the Indians' priorities or why they're buying cheap oil from Russia. They don't understand the Chinese or why they're building more coal mines by the day. They don't understand Africans or how, African farmers need certain types of fertilizers to grow food, just for sustenance, let alone exporting it, right? They don't understand the country or the parts of the world that they need to communicate with to actually galvanize the right kind of action to make this
real difference.
Exactly.
Yes, we can have as many planes as we want flying around the world on chip fat. That's great, but that's not where the major part of the emissions are coming from.
Well, exactly.
And also, surely, what we've learned. I mean, I sort of agree with everybody. Really, it does seem pointless having a sort of gathering of these people
for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. It does seem pointless. Surely, one thing we've learned is that most of these things can be sorted out on Zoom or sorted out in other ways. But
because as you know, as politicians and as statesmen, most of the decisions are happening off in corners inside. We're going to get a coffee, and you're having the water cooler moment. It's not sat around the table.
Well,
Come on, soft power.
They're not there for long enough.
No,
Exactly.
this is not going to happen every year.
JJ is unusually right on something.
Is he?
Are you feeling well?
I know. There's these great stats. China, for example, I think it's next year they're going to put more solar farms out there than America have built in their history.
Yeah.
80% of all buses in China, think of the size of
Will
China,
they work?
are electric.
You think
All
that's
of this
because
stuff.
of
Will they work?
However-
will they set on fire?
They-
Probably
Well,
because they have lithium.
the point is that per capita, I think their footprint is actually less, given the size of the country, than some of those countries that we instinctively attack. That's still not a good thing that you're knocking out coal mines.
And can I just very, very briefly
But if you're
say-
going, I was just going to say, if you're going on a private plane to a COP conference, there's probably something wrong with you. Just go on an ordinary one and go together.
And I was just very briefly going to say about solar farms, they are destroying lots of bird life. So, we always have to be careful.
And they're inefficient.
Oh, no, please.
Just talking
please.
about
Just
the fact that
depends.
I'm just putting
It does
it up.
depend which bird.